To be the man, you gotta beat the man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Week 18 NFL reactions. I got a busy day because I gotta start making a bunch of skits for this week, so we are just gonna hop right into it. But as always, we got a couple of quick plugs. So don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. That's all I got for today, though. Let's get into the video. All right, so kicking off Week 18 on Saturday, we had the Steelers beating the Ravens. Now, I do want to say the Ravens were resting players for this game, but it still was detrimental that the Steelers won because this would later put them into the playoffs, where I'm now realizing that next week I'm going to have to fight my best friend Alex to the death. I light heaven, I love you. Looking at the Ravens first, they didn't do a whole lot, as you guys can tell. Huntley had 1 touchdown, Gus had 48 yards, Nelson Agholor led the team in receiving, and the defense had 3 sacks, where one of them came from Jadeveon Clowney, and I just want to compliment him. He is a clown, but he had a good year. Looking at the Steelers now, Mason was extremely clean once again. Najee had another good day on the ground. Deontay led the team in receiving. And even though their defense did get 4 sacks, you can't really celebrate because TJ Watt suffered an MCL sprain and it's looking like he's going to miss the game against Buffalo. Regardless, congratulations Pittsburgh, and good luck to you this weekend. Now moving on to Saturday night, we had the Texans beating the Colts in a heart-shattering loss by Indianapolis. They had the game and they blew it. Checking out Indy first, Gardner Minshew had a pretty lousy day. Jonathan Taylor literally carried the offense, 30 carries, 188 yards and a touchdown. Josh Downs led the team in receiving at 48 yards, and the defense hung in there as much as they could with a dominating CJ Stroud just for the Colts offense to piss the bed at the end. Oh, Indy. As far as Houston goes, CJ 20 for 26, 264, 2 touchdowns, man. He was dominant. Devin Singletary also rushed in a touchdown, although his production was pretty buns, and receiving was led by Nico Collins, who had a very casual 9 receptions for 195 yards and a touchdown. Whatever. I retract my statement from my Q&A. He is the most underrated player in the league. I completely forgot about him somehow. Defense also played really well, all things considered. They didn't have a lot of stats, but they did only allow 1 offensive touchdown and then just a bunch of kicks. Can't be mad at that, man. I'm happy for the Texans, and they are a dangerous team. And now we got the Titans upsetting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this was a game that actually sent Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and I think Houston all into the playoffs as well. Told you guys, there was a chance Mike Vrabel was going to pull this off. He has the grit. However, looking at the Titans here, Tannehill did what he could. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Henry had an elite day if it was his last day there. 153, 1 touchdown. D-Hop caught 46 yards in a tud. Tajay Spears caught a touchdown. Also ran one in, too. He had a great day. And defensively, Vrabel had the clamps on him. 2 interceptions on the day. 1 from Terrell Edmonds, 1 from Sean Murphy Bunting. And at Jacksonville now, Trevor ends the year on not so great of a note. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. ETN was restricted the entire game, only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Ridley and Ingram both had great days, and Calvin Ridley also dropped a pass that could have won him the game at the end, but I'm also not sure if it was an overthrow or not. I only saw it the one time. Either way, it was literally the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen. And defensively, they had a pick and 2 sacks, 1 from Josh Allen and 1 from Trayvon Walker, and I just gotta say, Trayvon Walker, ever since I said he was a good player, but you know, not first overall pick good, he has literally been lights out. So good for him, and Jacksonville, I'm sorry you pissed your entire season away within an instant. All right, now we got Detroit executing the Vikings. This game was lousy, but got crazy real quick. Nick Mullins threw for 400, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Justin Jefferson caught for 12, 192 and 1 touchdown. Also hit 1,000 yards despite missing 7 games and then part of 2 other ones. Pretty sure he's the only player in NFL history to have played as little as he did and break 1,000 yards. As far as defense goes, they obviously got torched for the first half of the game at least. And Greg Joseph kicked 100%. Looking at the Lions now, Goff threw for 322 touchdowns, both running backs had a touchdown. St. Brown had 144 yards and a touchdown, and Laporta also had a touchdown. However, Sam Laporta suffered an injury, and I'm pretty sure St. Brown had some sort of injury to him, and Khalif Raymond. Dan Campbell, was it worth playing them? Defensively, though, at least for the first half of the game, the Lions were in playoff form. 2 interceptions, 1 from Cam Sutton, 1 from CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Hutch with a casual 2 sacks, where another one came from Levi. I'm not going to say his last name. So as good as you did play Detroit, again, I'm not sure if it was worth playing all of your starters, seeing as you were going to have a playoff game regardless in like 5 or 6 days. Good luck to you, though. All right, now moving on, we got the Falcons at the Saints. This was indeed Arthur Smith's final game. He got fired at 12:01 last night. That was cold of the Falcons. But they are free of his curse, even though they got destroyed. Looking at their offense, Desmond actually played really good and then threw a brain-dead interception at the end of the game. Bijan, even though he didn't have a great day on the ground, had a terrific day through the air, 7 for 103 and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith also had a touchdown. And defensively, they came up with 3 sacks, but that was about the only stoppage that they were able to get. Looking at the Saints now, Derek Carr turned into Tom Brady, 22 for 28, 264, 4 touchdowns. Rushing was led by Kendre Miller, whoever the fuck that is. Receiving was pretty much split between Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and A.T. Perry, all catching around 50 to 60 yards and scoring 1 to 2 touchdowns. And the Saints defense was able to get something that the Falcons weren't, and that was interceptions at the hands of Alontae Taylor and Tyrann Mathieu. You might have been too late to put it together, New Orleans, but at least you have all offseason to talk up Derek Carr off of this last month, only for him to probably piss the bed again next year. Now we got the Jets beating the Patriots, and yeah, goodbye, Bill. It was a good run. Nothing to talk about this game at all besides Breece Hall. He had 37 carries for 178 yards and a touchdown. Well, I guess the Jets D did have 2 picks and 7 sacks too, so they completely dominated. But New England-wise, nothing. Bailey Zappi, terrible. Rushing, terrible. Jalen Reagor led the team with 1 reception. Tells you everything you need to know. Defense, awful. Have a good offseason, New England. Now we got the Bucks beating the Panthers, shutting them out actually, and the Panthers haven't scored a point since Christmas. Again, not a lot to talk about in this game at all, considering every point was scored by a field goal. Baker did nothing. Rashad White actually kind of carried the offense for what it's worth. Receiving was lousy. Antoine Winfield Jr. had a sack. That's cool. As far as the Panthers, other than Chuba Hubbard, honestly, doesn't look like anybody had a good day. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it. You guys belong in the USFXFL, LLXFL, whatever the hell it's called. You're terrible. And now we got the Bengals beating the Browns, and this was a pick kind of like a couple other ones I got wrong just due to teams resting that I wasn't really anticipating. I mean, I kind of was, but not really. Anyway, the Browns didn't play anybody worth a damn. Jeff Driscoll was the quarterback, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Rushing was led by Pierre Strong. Receiving was led by David Bell, who actually had 2 touchdowns. And the defense actually came up with 3 sacks and an interception, again, considering they were resting like almost everyone. Looking at Cincy now, Jake Browning might have earned the respect back of the fan base, 156 for 3 touchdowns. Mixon had an elite day, 14 carries for 111 yards, 1 score. Receiving was led by Charlie Jones, although Andre Izovevis, whoever that is, he had 2 reception touchdowns. Joe Mixon caught a touchdown, and their defense had a couple of picks and a handful of sacks. You know, Cincinnati played a really good game, but I just gotta be honest, I gotta believe if it was, you know, the starting Browns team, it might have been a different outcome. Now moving on, we got the Packers beating the Bears, punching their ticket into the playoffs, and I just gotta say, this was not the only ownership to not change hands this weekend. But yeah, the Bears, they just can't beat the Packers, still. Fields threw for 148, pretty clean game, actually. Herbert was able to do nothing with his legs. DJ Moore was limited to only 64 yards. And defensively, they could not make Jordan Love blink, and they only got to sack him 1 time. As for Green Bay, Jordan Love, 316, 2 touchdowns, 27 for 32. He had an elite rookie year. He is a very good quarterback. Aaron Jones, 22 carries for 111 yards. Jaden Reed had 4 receptions for 112 yards. Dontavion Wicks caught 2 touchdowns. And even though they weren't able to pick Fields off, they sacked him 5 times. Non-Packer fans, am I tripping, or tell me if I'm 100% honest? Is this team a lot more likable without Aaron Rodgers? Like, they're a lot more fucking likable. As long as you don't hate Jordan Love, like, they're a way more likable team. Now we got the Cowboys beating the piss out of the Commanders, and this was Ron Rivera's last game because he has also gotten the axe this morning. Not a lot to say here. Dak Prescott did add to his MVP resume, I'll say that. 31 for 36, 279, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Tony P ran for 70, 1 touchdown. CD caught for 98, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks caught a touchdown. Tolbert caught a touchdown. Defense got 2 picks, a handful of sacks, and potentially ended Sam Howell's career as a starter. As for the Commanders, Sam Howell was terrible. 153, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Brian Robinson literally couldn't move. Terry led the team at 56 yards, while B-Rob did have a touchdown reception. And defensively, besides Jartavius Martin's pick, they did not get to Dak Prescott 1 time. Oh, Washington, brighter horizons are on the way. All right, now moving on, we got the Broncos at the Raiders. Denver, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm happy you guys got your asses kicked there. Sean Payton deserves it. Looking at Denver, Jarrett Stidham, 272, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Javonte Williams got a touchdown, but production-wise was horrid. Receiving was led by Brandon Johnson and Jerry Jeudy, who had a touchdown. Defensively, they did get 3 sacks on Aiden O'Connell, but I'm not sure how hard a sack is to get on a milk jug with legs. Peeking at the Raiders now, Aiden, 242, 2 touchdowns. Zamir White maybe taking Josh Jacobs' job, 112 yards. Receiving was led by Trey Tucker, although Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams both had receiving touchdowns, and Jacoby had a rushing touchdown. And their defensive unit came up with 5 sacks and 1 interception, and yeah, you can guess who one of their sacks came from, none other than Mad Max Crosby. So not a bad way to end the year, Raiders, and cheers to another 8 months of trying to hype yourselves up. Oh, Philly, you suck! You guys let Tyrod Taylor ball so hard that not even he could find himself. You also let Saquon run 2 touchdowns down your throat despite not being able to get anything for yardage. On top of that, you took 5 sacks and threw 2 interceptions to Xavier McKinney. And I know the excuses are gonna roll in. Jalen Hurts broke his finger. AJ Brown got hurt. Say whatever you want. You guys have been a bad football team and you are continuing to fall. It all started when they lost to the Jets. They were playing worse. They were letting up more points. They were getting bailed out to win games. Then they got wrecked. They got destroyed. They got upset. They escaped the Giants, then lost to the Cardinals and got slaughtered by the Giants. I've never seen a downfall of a team like this. It's actually insane. And I wish I could feel bad for you guys. I really do. But your coach and your fans have been so fucking obnoxious for the first 10 weeks of this season and all of last season that my reaction to you guys completely falling flat on your face is this. Next up, we got the Seahawks getting past the Cardinals. Good game, good win. Unfortunately, just not enough to get them into the playoffs. Geno Smith played a good game, 189, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker had 78 rushing yards on the worst run D in the league. Tyler Lockett led the team in receiving and scored. Will Dissly also scored. And DK Metcalf had just 1 catch for 10 yards. Looking at the Cardinals now, Kyler played a very clean game. James Conner had an elite game, 150 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Receiving was led by Michael Wilson, while Trey McBride also scored, and James Conner had 50 yards through the air. However, it doesn't look like their defense recorded a single sack or interception, which would probably have something to do with the reason that they lost by a point. Cardinals are going to win like 9 or 10 games next year. All right, now we got the Rams beating the Niners by a point. Niners were also resting people, but so are the Rams. Just to quickly go over this game, Carson Wentz, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a rushing touchdown. That was actually very nice. He had 17 rushes, by the way. Receiving was led by Bryson Hopkins, although Puka Nacua, I do believe, did break both of his records. And Tyler Johnson, former Gopher, caught a touchdown. That's awesome. Just peeking at the 49ers quick, Sam Darnold, 189, 1 touchdown. Elijah Mitchell, 52 yards and a touchdown. Sam also had a rushing touchdown, and Chris Conley led receiving with 3 receptions for 69 yards. In other words, if you paid to go to this game, I'm sorry, because you saw nobody. Now we got the Chiefs beating the Chargers by a point. This one will be super quick as well because it was a rest game. But the Chiefs still won with Blaine Gabbert being terrible, LaMichael Pirine as their leading rusher, and McCole Hardman as their leading receiver. Peeking at the Chargers now, Easton Stick, 258. Again, no touchdown. He's the king of that, dude. He has to have like damn near 1,000 yards and like 1 touchdown to show for it. Easton also had 77 rushing yards. Donald Perham led the receiving. And Khalil Mack was able to log his 17th sack of the season. So if he ends his career here, or if he ends his career period, terrific way to go out. On to better things, LA. And finally, we've got the Buffalo Bills stealing the AFC East Championship from the Miami Dolphins. You guys had it all year, and you folded. This was a game that Buffalo started off so bad. I actually prematurely tweeted out that we were going to lose the game. I was defeated. And we came out of that tunnel in the second half and beat the absolute hell out of them. Josh Allen, 30 out of 38, 359, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Also 67 rushing yards with one of the greatest rushes I've ever seen, which saved the game. Shakir led the team in receiving at 105, although Diggs and Kincaid both had 87 and 84, while Trent Sherfield and Dawson Knox had the touchdowns, and Sherfield's was wild. Their defense had a couple picks, which we'll talk about in a minute, and I just want to say right now, I don't think the sack was on Tua. I don't think we got to Tua once. I'm pretty sure it was on a chain. Is that how you say it? Either way, he was going to throw. Looking at the Dolphins now, Tua, 173, 1 touchdown, 2 ugly picks. A chain, he started off the game real hot, and then he got shut down in the second half. Tyreek led the team, 7 for 82 and a a touchdown, but got even more banged up. And even though their defense looks, you know, disruptive, I'm pretty sure, obviously, aside from the picks that were thrown right to them, they actually didn't force one single 3-and-out the entire game. If Josh wouldn't have missed the wide open bomb to Diggs when he burned Jalen Ramsey, this game would have been on ice. I had no reason to stress, dude. And honestly, thank God we never got rid of Sean McDermott too, because we wouldn't be here without him. His defense is the reason we were able to lock up the Dolphins like we were. His defense is the reason we are back-to-back AFC East champions. And I would like to go into one more thing, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna really piss Dolphin fans off here, but it's just the truth. This is the difference between Tua and Josh. This is the difference between Josh and the other quarterbacks in the league who are, you know, very good, but not this good. Josh Allen can throw an interception. He can throw 2, he can throw 3, he can throw 4. It doesn't matter. Every time he throws a pick, he goes to the bench and he just resets himself and he goes back out there like it's a new game. He doesn't fucking care. When the pressure is on, the lights are in his eyes, he doesn't choke. He thrives in it. Like Chris Collinsworth said yesterday, it almost makes Josh check out. It makes him forget that there's any pressure on him because the only thing he can think about is just winning the fucking game. You can see it with his runs, you can see it with his throws, and that is something that Tua clearly doesn't have. When his back is against the wall, when the lights are dead in his face, he shit his pants. No other way around it. I respect him, I respect you guys, but it's the truth. That is the difference. You guys have a quarterback who can help win you games. We have a quarterback that will win you games. Nothing but love, nothing but respect to you, Miami. But like I said, if you want to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And as for now, we are still the kings of the East. And that is going to be all for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting late, so I'm just going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. Show any support to this video. You guys know I appreciate it. And with everything I just said, I will see you in the next upload.